So, everyone is awake. It is pretty early in the morning. Not like, ass crack of dawn, but, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Everybody is fully rested. Have your HP back. Get your spell slots back. All that jazz as usual. What would you like to do?
Right after that, for what it's worth, I whisper to Lena. I don't even whisper. I mumble oh, maybe he deserved it after all. And I don't even know. I guess it's kind of up to you if you even hear it, but I just sort of say it under my breath.
I want to, and I want to give you a look of hey.
Admonishment.
She has the best passive perception of the group. I'll allow it.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
I think, well, at least tell you since you're here. I think we should go see the Duchess as soon as we can. Let's round up everyone else and see what they think.
Yeah, let's. If they weren't too busy partying all night, maybe they'll be ready to go now.
True.
Okay.
Speaking of partying, if Beth is gonna stick around, Tessian will get breakfast for both of them, up in the bedroom.
Okay.
Breakfast in bed.
Fancy.
There is a lovely spread downstairs of lots of fruits and vegetables. No meat. No
Sweet.
eggs. So Lena is in great shape for breakfast.
Oh, I am so excited.
People looking for protein, specifically Karash, are probably in bad shape. But lots of fresh fruits and vegetables on display, and you're able to gather plenty of them and bring them back to the room. Anybody else coming downstairs, staying in your room? What you guys up to here?
I'm up, so I'm going down, and I'm going to partake of some food. Yay!
Okay.
I'm just going to eat there in the lower floor.
I'm going to grab a pear and toss it to Lena.
A pear.
Then
Okay, I don't know what I thought.
a pair of...
Shoes! Here's some shoes, Lena.
A pear, yes. And I will catch it, hopefully.
Oh, will you?
I don't know. Will I?
I fastballed it. And then I grab another pear, and I look at Grail. Kind of
And I'm bleary-eyed, blinking and rubbing my eyes, oh my god.
somewhat playful of you want to play cat, but not really. I'm just going to walk it over to you and be like...
You're
here you go.
She looks like shit. I should probably be nice to her.
Yeah.
I'll sit at the table with you guys as well. Once I have finished picking up one of every fruit at the bar or whatever.
Okay.
Anything interesting happen last night? Tessian, Karash, Lena?
Slept like a baby.
Nothing.
I'm upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't even see you go down to get the breakfast?
No, I figured that was happening while I was talking to the town guard.
Okay.
So he's not here.
So then
No,
I
he's
do
not-
not direct it at
he gone.
Tessian.
Yeah, I missed it too.
Has anyone seen Tessian?
I
Not a
haven't.
peep.
Not since last night.
The Shard and I saw him going upstairs with some lady folk.
Oh.
You've answered my question. I figured it was an indulgence of one sort or another, so it checks out.
Wait, Genasi require more than one to copulate?
No.
It is an interesting question, Karash. I will give you that.
Weren't there two?
There were two at the table he was talking to, but only one accompanied him upstairs, and you saw that.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember. I thought maybe two had
both
gone up with him.
accompanied him upstairs, but I might have misheard that.
Yeah, I guess I did too. Yeah, I haven't heard from him. Maybe he is indisposed.
Well, we can plan without Tessian, and we can run our plan by him. What are we doing next? I am assuming we should go report into the Duchess.
That would be wise, I think.
That would seem to be the next thing to do. We dealt with the blades.
Yeah, we want access to that portal, so...
We've proven that Mr. Shaw seems at least mostly sane. Speaking of which, Mr. Shad, it seems our arrangement has come to an end. What are your next plans?
I follow the thread of fate, wherever it leads me. And it is currently leading me toward Crash.
But of course.
I love him so much. Oh God.
And Koresh, just for that half second, the headache that you have from last night's drinking intensifies ever so slightly.
And beyond your whim, what would sever this thread of fate?
Oh, it is not my whim that severs it. If Crash died, that would be troublesome. It's happened before, and I have to wait an unseemly amount of time to find it again.
Are you telling me you're tied to Karash until he or you die?
No. I am tied until fate takes me elsewhere.
Oh, how convenient.
It can happen at any time.
I'm getting a kick out of it because I think the Shard is fascinating after our conversation about music. So I'm kind of enamored of him, and I'm just like, I want to hear him speak.
Well, I don't know if bringing you into the Duchess's chambers is the best idea, but you know what? Let's go for it.
As I am aware, I am pardoned of my crime, so to speak.
That's a good point.
I mean,
It was-
because a judge pardons you doesn't mean he wants you over at his house for a cup of tea, but...
It was a legal duel, Isaac, I might remind you.
No, like I said, let's do it. Why not?
So, are you going to get Tessian?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm getting
oh.
impatient now, so...
Yeah, I'm willing to wait around, but like I don't know how long is this gonna take.
I don't mind going up and knocking.
Oh,
Since
God,
he
Lena.
probably won't hate me. I've
wanna
had to deal with
know.
this for like 3 months, y'all. It's fine.
Oh, that's true. I was going to say your virgin eyes is probably not true anymore.
Rock falls, Lena dies. Yeah. Tessian, you're already knocking on your door.
I mean, how long were they talking? Did we finish breakfast, I guess?
Yeah, you've had time to finish breakfast. It's been
Yeah,
about 35,
breakfast.
40 minutes.
Second
it's
breakfast.
It's like actual breakfast.
Suddenly,
Tessian,
is a halfling.
Yeah.
He opens the door. He's dressed. Looks pretty ready to go. Looks like he was probably, not long before heading down himself.
Do you
he's
see...
out.
Where is Beth?
I probably I don't know, getting dressed or whatever. I guess. I don't know.
I'm just gonna keep my eyes on Tessian and not let them wander, and just say good morning. I didn't mean to interrupt if you were still asleep. I just wanted to notify you that we're going to go to the Duchess's home soon and report to her about everything we did yesterday and discuss possibly getting the access to the teleportation circle.
And Tessian seems chipper, in a pretty good mood. He's like, of course. I'm sorry. You must have been waiting for me. And he turns back to Beth, and he's just like, feel free to wrap up whenever you need, and perhaps I'll see you around.
Money's on the nightstand.
She says, sure, I look forward to it. I hope our paths cross again.
And he kind of gives her a nice nod and just gathers the rest of his things that are probably sitting next to the door or something, and then heads down.
Okay. Lena, you go with him?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So after just a moment passes, Lena comes back downstairs with Tessian in tow, joins the group. You guys going to head out?
Believe this is all of us.
Okay. You make your way back to the Duchess's estate, and this is where I have to crowdsource something, and I'm just going to do it on air because I forgot to ask before we go live. Does anybody remember what I named the butler?
Does it start with an S?
H.
H?
I thought, but...
Because that was the last session before we lost everything, and I didn't have a chance to make notes from that session. So I was like, I remember his description. I remember what he did in that episode. I don't remember his name, and it's my own lore.
Ooh.
I'm going to guess Hamilton.
It was not that.
Havisham.
It was something with Havisham. It was something
Havisham.
kind of like that, I thought.
Havishard.
We meet at last.
I don't have it written down.
Yeah, I don't know if
No.
we're going to get it.
It is Sterling.
You're pretty sure it wasn't as edgy as Cormac or Holden? I'm just.
Hey! How dare you?
Yeah, his name was Caulfield.
I love my brothers, Cormac McCarthy and Holden Caulfield.
They don't
Salinger.
even have the same last name as you. Don't lie.
Well, his name is going to be Gregory now. Welcome to. Please enjoy Gregory.
Gregor is a weird name.
Gregor is a weird name.
Gregory.
Thompson's
He's got
so
like
square.
he's got like 2 names. There's like the first and the middle, and he's just going by his middle name now.
Yeah, you guys know him better, so you
Yeah.
learned his true name.
We're tight with Gregory.
It's
Persona.
Gregory. Yeah.
You guys head back to the Duchess's estate, and the same scene that you saw yesterday, or day before yesterday, is still there. No guards, fenced-in area, gates currently closed, but again, lovely white stone, vines wrapped all over the place. Clearly the nicest place in all of Harnstead. But the gates are currently closed, and that same mechanism that you buzzed in with is still on the side of the gates.
I will buzz the gate.
Okay.
What does the buzz sound like?
So, you know how like sometimes it sounds like a wrong answer on a game show?
Yeah.
This one is more like a lower pitched version of a dog whistle. So that you can hear it and it doesn't hurt, but it's like eh. So it's not really
like
Okay.
bells, or
it's not
like
a buzz.
yeah.
But it is a noise of some kind.
All right.
And it's actually kind of an interesting mechanism, whether it's magical or technology in nature, you're not entirely sure, but something's powering it, and it's interesting. On the other, for a moment passes, and by now you know to wait maybe an additional moment or two for certain reasons, but eventually you hear back on this side, "Yes, what is it?"
Gregory, as I butcher his name. We have returned from fulfilling our duties for the Duchess, and we would like to report in with her if now is a good time.
"Ah, the Duchess will be most pleased. Yes, yes, come inside."
Thank you very much.
And another couple of moments pass, probably longer than it should be, and eventually the gates swing open of their own accord and allow you entrance to the nice garden that's in the front of the Duchess's manor. And then as you guys approach the front doors, you see one of the doors slowly becoming ajar, and Gregory sticks his head out and kind of beckons you to come inside.
Does anyone remember if I did the Russian with her or not? And if we don't, I'm just gonna say.
Even if I did, I would not tell you in this scenario.
This is player to player.
No, I know, but if you're gonna stick with the bit, you gotta remember who you do it to.
To be fair, I could go back and look. No, I don't mind doing it. I don't feel the need to unless I've done it already. So if I've done it already, I can still do it. That's fine.
I don't think you did,
Okay.
but I don't remember for sure.
I'll just be Mr.
But
British.
since I don't remember for sure, I'm not going to
think-
punish you for not
I
remembering
think
for
you
sure.
might have. I think you might have.
I-
I think I was mad at you because that was when you changed where you came from east to west. But I might be wrong about that.
That could have also been back at Rose Lake. I don't remember. It's fine.
I'll say I told her where I was from and it was the wrong place in a British accent. Okay, just house cleaning.
Got it. I mean, we're doing the butler's name on air, so why not? Let's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retcon everything.
So he leads you inside, up the staircase, to the same waiting room as yesterday, and he says, "I'm sure she'll be along momentarily, and I'll go fetch the tea."
Thank you
Oh,
very
good.
much.
And he shuffles out of the room, leaving you at least a moment of quiet.
In the moment of quiet, Tessian is like, "So, how did everyone sleep?"
And I blink very slowly at him. I'm like, just fine.
Yes, rather well indeed.
No, it's good to hear.
How about you, Tessian? And I'm grinning at him.
And he kind of smiles back at her, but it's not like a weird hey.
It's just like leering at me. You're like,
No. He's just sort of like, he acknowledges that you seem excited about this, but
yes.
He's like, no, it was quite well actually. I feel I have a new perspective on some things. Perhaps we can discuss them later after we meet with the Duchess.
Yeah.
Well, we'll probably have time. Last time, if I recall, it's a good wait here going to get tea. I think he's milking the tea cow.
No,
And I laugh at the really dumb joke because it's a really dumb joke.
I do not believe tea comes from cows.
Oh, my mistake,
Yes,
Karash.
I'm with Karash on this one. I don't think tea comes from cows.
I could be
Oh.
mistaken. We're from different places. Who can say?
I don't know. From where I'm from, there are definitely tea cows.
Yeah, see,
Really?
Grail, thank you.
Yes. And I'm just like taking the piss out of it. Like I'm just joking around. I don't know.
Karash, are you sure you have never seen a cow of tea before?
No.
He's not sure.
Tea comes from leaves and
Oh,
Oh,
you're
no.
talking about that
Water.
type of tea. Oh, well, of course, yes.
Oh no. Oh no, look at his face. I feel bad now. I feel bad.
I'm gonna be like, will you stop it, please? Poor Karash. You're fine.
I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, sorry.
in Draconic, I'm gonna turn over and look at the shard and go, is he fucking with me?
I've seen stranger things.
I mean, we're looking at one right now. Yeah, that's funny.
I'm just
Go
gonna
ahead.
eyeball Isaac from across the sitting room there.
You hear a voice come from the entryway to the sitting room, and it says, "Ah, I see you have returned. I've heard that things went well yesterday, then."
Yes, they did.
As the Duchess
Yes.
enters the room.
Oh,
I know.
it's not Gregory.
I know. I figured I should just.
Oh, that's good.
Things went so well.
What is she wearing compared to the first time?
It's similar, but a different color. Yesterday was like these long, flowing emerald robes, and today it's more of a periwinkle, like a lighter blue. But it's the same cut of dress, and it seems like she's got a set of these that she wears on different occasions, and yet all of them are still like the pinnacle of elegance.
Fun fact, Periwinkle is Tinkerbell's sister. Continue.
That is fun.
That is a fun fact.
That's the worst thing anybody said since Aang.
Oh no.
Anyways,
Oh gosh.
she says how I heard things went well yesterday.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna clarify that we rounded up almost all of them, except for one managed to escape, but we did retrieve all of them, and the shard has proven his usefulness and is a valuable asset to the team in that operation. So
She looks over at the shard. She goes, "Well, I believe I find that to be satisfactory. In fact, I must apologize. It's not really our intent to hold someone who has done seemingly no wrong, but you must understand it was a fairly unique situation, and we just wanted to make sure things were safe in this town. Of course, even despite that fact, things are not necessarily safe here, but I hope you'll accept my apology of sorts for the fact that you were held for a couple of days."
No apology necessary. It's your duty to protect your subjects.
Well, I must say, we let someone down last night. I don't know if you've heard, but there was someone killed just on the streets last evening, maybe around 2 or 3 in the morning. All sorts of nasty business, that.
Yes, Lena and I had a conversation with God this morning, and he didn't give out a lot. He was good at his job, but he did say it was a fluent man, and that's about all we found out. Do you have any more details of what happened?
And for the record, Tessian is trying to read his companions about this.
oh bother.
Make an insight check. We'll just
'Cause
kind of do
this-
a blanket one here.
And
This-
also, I'm like looking at the floor, just so
Good.
you know.
Great.
He's not particularly good at this stuff, but like, what did I roll? A 14? Yeah, a 14. But he knows you guys well enough to know that this is not outside the realm of something you could have been involved in.
Oh, I see. Like we might have actually. I got it.
Yeah.
There is
yeah.
not anything hugely noticeable. You do get this sense that perhaps there's more than being let on, not in a nefarious way, just the idea that like this could be like a leading statement or question that's being asked right now.
Like, this
But-
is not the first they've necessarily... Yeah, okay, that's fine.
But it's more of a
That
gut
makes sense.
instinct. You don't really have enough of a read on anybody to be like, I am for sure like that person
Yeah.
is, holding something back, but you're like,
Okay.
I know this group well enough now to be like, something might be off here.
And all it takes is one look at Grail to confirm it, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Grail, who's usually pretty affable when it comes to talking to people and seemed to like to hit it off well with the Duchess yesterday, is now looking at the floor.
Yep.
But the floor does not require a deception check, so it's fine. There was a question before all that. I believe it was just like you had talked to the guard and you wanted to know more about the guy, right?
Yeah.
She says, yes, well, Baravor Fulcross, a half-elf, he was a wealthy gentleman, lived in the city, has lived here for probably 30, 35 years. I knew of him. We had a handful of interactions over my time running the city, and I can tell you that he is essentially the financier behind Grand Reserva, one of the stores in town. But he was not really known on a public level. He had other people who ran the store on a daily basis for him. He was more of the backer for them and took some of the profits out of it as well. It's how he made his wealth. But as far as people in the city, I don't know that many people knew him all that well. He kind of kept to himself when he wasn't running the store behind the scenes.
Did he have any enemies? I mean, you said so yourself. This is a normally very safe town. Not a lot happens, and someone is murdered in the middle of the night.
Well, I can't really speak for a huge personal relationship with him to have too much awareness of it. I like to think that I have a pulse of what's going on within the city at a given time, but to me, I hadn't heard anything about any enemies. No, I mean, I suppose in business there's always the risk of running afoul of someone who may be a competitor or a jilted customer, but as far as I know, he was a pretty low-class noble who had worked pretty hard to make a living for himself, and now he is no longer with us.
Terrible news. Terrible news. I have two questions. Duchess, if the group doesn't mind me, Lena speaking on their behalf. The first, most pressing question is, now that we have taken care of the Blades and we have, in a manner of speaking, exonerated Mr. Shod, we've taken to calling him, do we have your permission to use the teleportation circle for Lycidian?
Well, you have seemingly fulfilled your end of the bargain. I will have a couple of questions for clarity myself, but your account of what happened seems pretty complete. I will ask you this one thing before I commit to the circle, and that is, the one who got away, do you think that he will come back? Do you believe that the Blades will use this base anymore in the future? Or have you dissuaded them so thoroughly that they will not return?
I mean, Tessian has an answer, but he's actually just looking to see what the others are going to say.
That's kind of me.
God, I don't know. I'm thinking if I should respond and how I should respond.
I'm gonna respond because why not? If you are concerned, you can check in with the farmer and his wife. It is a hole in the living room to a cave.
Yes.
If you come back, you can open it and look.
Karash is right. We did find out the base where they were sourcing these operations. From what we gathered, we did a little bit of intel in the beginning. It doesn't seem to be a high value place. They refer to it even as not really gaining a lot of traction, and what they had there were merely baubles and trinkets. I don't think you have a large reason for concern.
But, and Tessian kind of speaks up, we would be remiss if we did not say there's always the possibility that they decide to retaliate. We don't know what exactly they were doing there outside of some petty thievery, and they may not have taken well to us acting on your behalf to get them out of there. We can't speak to their intentions, so I don't want us to make any promises we can't keep.
God, I'm just thinking that I should have asked Holden. Anyway.
You had a lot on your mind. I think it's in character to
a little bit.
You can always go find him.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll happen regardless.
And she, like yesterday, is very attentive as you're talking, kind of keeps looking at each individual as they are kind of explaining the situation. And she listens to the whole account of it, and she kind of nods, and she says, well, that seems to be a well-reasoned account of it. I suppose I'll station a couple members of the town guard there for the next couple of days and just make sure that the two of them are safe for the time being. Like you said, the Blades are a bit of an unpredictable group. If it's as you say, and the place was not of any huge significance, they may be fine, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Well, if that's the case, and you have fulfilled your end of the bargain, that I am honor-bound to do so as well, I will have Gregory contact the people in Lycidian, who will need to give us access to the other side of this particular portal. I don't foresee that being a problem. My request will carry some sway, not an insignificant amount, but there is the outside chance there may be something happening on the other side that precludes it, just to warn you. But I will have him get in contact with them, and you should know perhaps within the hour. In fact, you're welcome to stay here if you'd like, or if you have other business in the city, that's fine too. But at this point, Gregory is now finally shambling back in with the platter and the tea. You hear the slight rattling noises of not danger. Nothing's in danger of tipping over or spilling, but it's just this general unsteadiness, and you can hear the clanking of porcelain as he brings this in and sets it down on the table in the middle of this room. And she says, thank you, Gregory, as always. He says, of course, madam. She says, could I just bother you to do one more thing, if you would? He says, of course, you need only ask. She says, if you would, get in contact with Lycidian. Make sure that we are approved to send some people their direction through my personal chambers. He says, I'm right on it. Well, and he starts shambling off.
Before he leaves, I cast Detect Magic.
Okay. There are no active magical effects, but even just the nature of this spell, despite the fact that it's not necessarily super high level, you sense a pretty powerful presence from the Duchess. She is pretty latently, and I would say enhanced. She has latent magical abilities that are apparent to you, to the point where like it sort of interferes with your connection. However, as far as this feeling of the threat of fate, it is still firmly on Karash.
I'm going to take some of the tea.
There you go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, even just her presence in the room, even though it's not necessarily what that spell is for, you still pick up like this vague notion of she has some magic to her.
Karash, they found the tea cow. Oh, what a magnificent breed from the looks of it, too. Duchess, I do have...
I'm going to stop you and growl slightly as you say that.
Yes. Is it your highness, by the way? This is player me talking. Typically, is it your... No, right? She's a duchess. She's not like...
You would probably refer to her as your grace.
Your grace. Your grace. I have one other question, especially in light of it taking an hour to get this settled anyway. We're probably going to want to outfit ourselves at your stores in town. Is it worth us asking around about this murder while we're here anyway? See what we can find out.
Well, if you would like to take the time to do so, I certainly would not stop you. Anything more we can find out to see if there's anybody at large within the city, or if there's some kind of threat we should be concerned about, or, I mean, honestly, just to give Barivor the ending that he deserves, I would be much obliged if you would look. But that's really up to you. If you'd like to ask around, I mean, I suppose Grand Reservoir might be a place to start. It's not going to help you much in the way of munitions or other things for your travels. In fact, we don't really have a lot in the way of that stuff in this town. It's possible to find it, but even Grand Reservoir itself is actively a main seller of wine and other fine goods. But I would certainly not turn you down if you were interested.
It's the least we can do, I think.
Well,
and I look at Grail as I kind of... Well, I look at the Duchess, and as I'm like looking away, I look at Grail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the Duchess to be like, are you talking to me or her?
You dare not make eye contact with me? She says, just so you know, you may run into the young Derek Rothwell as you're looking about. He was already in the city, and as such, I believe he is taking point on helping the crusade ascertain what happened as well. I have my town guard looking into it a bit as well, but we try to defer to the Crusade in this matter. They're the best at investigations. I imagine that, especially with a bright one like him on the case, they'll find out what happened.
Oh, perfect. We go way back with Derek.
Way back. Did the
We have
deceased
known him
have
for a few days.
way
Just
back?
Drink your tea.
Did the deceased have family here, or was he alone?
He was alone. He had no wife or children to speak of. I do believe that he cared quite a bit for a couple of the people who were employed underneath him. I don't know if they would recognize him as a father figure of sorts, but at the very least, he was reliant on them, and in turn, they gave him great trust in his business transactions and making sure that the things that he held dear, like his business and his wealth and whatnot, were well taken care of. So the employees there may have some idea, but as far as I know, at least in town for sure, he had no one else who lived here.
All right. I'm just thinking of people we could talk to for possible leads to understand what happened, why someone would target him.
Well, Derek was by about an hour ago to give me at least a report on what they had discovered so far, and all I can tell you is that it's pretty slim pickings. There were no identifiable marks on the body, no fingerprints as far as they could tell, and Derek seemed to be of the opinion that this was done by a professional, and that, as far as he could tell, he had not yet found any witnesses to it.
I'm not laughing as the character, I promise.
I know, but I was so tempted to be like, make a deception check. But no, I know.
Well, I suppose if it's only going to be an hour, we should maybe head out and see what we can find.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I invite you to enjoy the city as much as you can. Be careful, because we don't know exactly what the situation is out there, but even when we've had times of strife, the city has been relatively safe, and with the extra presence around here, I don't suspect anyone's in any imminent danger, but just, be on your guard.
Of course, thank you.
If you return in an hour's time, I should have an answer for you one way or the other.
I'm going to quickly finish my tea before we leave.
One moment,
I also
Duchess.
will.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a mark or some kind of scroll we can use to show that we have your authority to be investigating this?
She kind of thinks about it for a minute. She says, well, I could have Gregory draw something up for you, but you may not like the amount of time that takes. I suppose I could write it myself. That would probably be the much faster approach. I do love Gregory, but haste is not his forte. I could write up something, and if I go back to my quarters, give it a seal that should be recognizable to anybody of importance in the city.
If it is not too much trouble.
Seems like a fair request. I will do so.
Thank
And
you.
now, she again has been arms folded over the staff. She now uses it to kind of prop herself up, rises out of her chair, and heads out of the room, presumably to go fulfill the request.
Detective Dog Street, in a reference no one will get except us.
He's on the case.
Oh, shit. Anyway,
The
sorry.
lines have been blurred.
That is an incredibly powerful woman.
Tessia nods.
Yeah,
She's
all I can
gone.
do is
She's
nod,
gone
yeah.
though, right?
Yeah, she's out of the room. She's down the hallway, you presume out of her earshot.
So Tessia will kind of ask. So, I assume then that we have decided to go to Lycidian and not continue on to the shrine.
I mean, we gave this man our word. We at least have to try to see it through.
And Tessia said, "Well, have we given any thought on how we will get back from Lycidian?"
I plan
is
on...
a-
What?
Go.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna, from a player, it should be a two-way.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I plan on discussing it with them to see if we can still come back, if we so
Say,
choose.
Is that how that works?
I
Because
don't
we have
know.
to get permission to arrive through the portal. We can't just show up in her personal chambers over here again without her knowing.
I'm
Right?
assuming the teleportation circle for here is not here in the house?
I think it is.
It is?
Tessie, it's a fair point. We can bring it up with the Duchess when she returns.
They do work in two-way fashion, but yeah, no one has asked about the return trip yet, so you don't know.
Okay.
And Tessian's like, well, if this is what you want to do, Lena, then I support it. Although I would like to get a moment to sit down and discuss things once we're in Lycidian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
So, what's this about a murder? And he kind of leans in a little bit to Isaac and Grail.
I don't know why I just pictured the smooth criminal lead.
I shrug and look to Isaac because I didn't actually hear about any additional information from a guard until just now.
And I take that as a sign that you do not want to share yet, so I say, yes.
This is not a great time, I don't think.
The damnedest thing. We arrive and there's a murder in the streets. Almost unbelievable.
Some would indeed say unbelievable. Strange credulity, I would say. Very, very much so. So we're looking into this now as well.
I definitely do not want to sidetrack us any further. Simply want to see what we can find out in an hour's time, and then I want to continue on our mission to find the girl. What's her freaking name?
Sophia.
Sophia.
What's this about a girl?
We haven't told you, have we?
I mean, he's just along for the ride at this point. Like, I don't...
There's a girl that's been, well, taken hostage. And we're trying to work on behalf of her father to see her free.
You're not related to her in any way.
Not that I'm aware of.
And Mr. Shad, I know sometimes you appreciate a forward approach, but here discretion would be appreciated.
Not exactly my strong suit.
Well, if you can try really hard, we would appreciate it.
I'll do what I can. Although to say murder is not very common around these streets is something I would highly disagree with.
I suppose 2 in 2 days is a bit much. Let's call it an aberration.
At this point, the Duchess comes back in the room, and she hands to Lena what appears to be a finely rolled up scroll
Okay.
wrapped in a red ribbon, and it has a seal on the outside of it that looks suspiciously like a wine glass.
I like it. I will thank her.
I do believe that will be what you require to stem off any questions that someone may ask about the legitimacy of your connection to me.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. I suppose we'll be off then.
Very well. I look forward to your return.
I'm going to stop before we go. If we go to Lycidian, how do we return?
Would you be needing to come back here then?
We have a cart and horse things.
If
They're
your
just
grace
horses, Karash.
would allow it, he means.
Well, a second trip may involve calling in some favors, but I do believe that can be arranged, as long as it's not too much time in between.
Of course. I don't anticipate that we'll need too much time there.
How many days did I keep forgetting the Dunas give us?
I think he gave us
Gave you a week.
he gave us a week, right?
I can't imagine it would take more than 1 week or so.
That seems reasonable enough. I'll have Gregory look into it a bit. I may be able to give you a point of contact to keep me apprised of when this might be, because you'll understand I can't just have you coming back into my manor at any hour of the day, but I think that can be arranged, yes, especially as a show of good faith. You have been kind to the people of my city to this point, and I would like to repay that kindness. So, yes, one other trip could be arranged.
Thank you very much.
So she's going to head out of the room unless...
Wait,
And you hear her long, nimble strides kind of echo down the hallway and get quieter. Heading
So
out?
nimble.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's very light on her feet. Okay.
She glides. Yes.
Stable the horse things.
So
Yes,
get
we
to
should
the-
stable the horse things. We should.
Yes.
So when we get to okay, for what's gonna happen next, we got to go back. We're gonna go back into the town. I'm assuming we're gonna take the wagon to do that. Is that correct? Is
Yes.
everybody kind of right? Because it's like close, but
It would be faster, but not necessarily mandatory. The city is not giant, especially because it's more vertical than it is spread out. But I mean, it would make your travel around to those places quicker.
do you think we could go to the town, ask some questions, maybe buy some stuff, and get back within an hour just by walking?
I believe so. Probably take you about 10 minutes on each leg of the trip, so you still have plenty of time in the middle. Grand Reserve is not terribly far. It's on the southern side, but you're about north of center right now, so it wouldn't take too long to get there.
So if we have to stable the horses, I might say, Tessian, we need to tie the horses up and get them ready, and we don't know what's waiting for us in Lycidian. We don't know how much time we'll have. If there's something you want to talk about, why not now?
Tessian's like, well, we've got an investigation to look into, do we not?
We can spare a few minutes. If you do
Tessian.
not wish to talk now, that's fine. I just wanted to give you an opportunity.
And he's like, we're headed to Lycidian. That's our next step, so let's just prepare.
Fair enough.
So, heading to Grand Reserva then? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit. Go ahead. Tessian.
Tessian kind of wants to, I don't know, look around the town. We haven't even really been around here at all or anything. I think our supplies are pretty good, so I think he's okay with that.
Whose fault is that, Tessian, going to bed early?
He wasn't aware that we were going to necessarily be leaving, so let's see.
It's true.
Well, should we split up? I, for one, would like to go to the Grand Reserva. I don't think that means we all have to by any means.
Tessian just kind of wants to go to the bookstore. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Man, I want to go to the fucking bookstore.
Just rubbing it in my face, you bastards.
I guess Tessian will say something. She's like, well, I was actually hoping I might be able to swing by the. Hold on, I have this written somewhere. Nobody freak out.
I'm freaking out.
The well-read library. Before we left. So if you don't need me for this little murder investigation, I might head there.
God, fucking damn it. My eyes kind of light up a little bit when you say the name and when you say the word library. And kind of look at Grail and I say, oh, I mean, Grail, Mr. Shard, Courage, you all feel capable of asking questions, right? It doesn't matter if I accompany Tessie to the bookstore, does it? Library. I say library.
What can we find out in an hour?
I'm sure something. You're Karash of the Thunder. Strong, capable.
Karat, would you prefer to go to this library?
No.
Karash, I just want to get some more supplies for our teachings. We're going to have lots of time coming up. I really feel good about your education.
Oh. Thank you. I can investigate murder.
Only if you would like to, but I think that would be great.
That's fine.
Well, Lena, do you want to accompany Karash? You have the seal of the Duchess, after all.
Yes, I think that would be wise.
Oh,
Grail.
Oh, Grail, we can't hear
Muted.
you.
Oh, sorry. There was some distractions happening in my household.
Quite distracting.
I'll also accompany Karash and the Shard and Lena.
Okay. So, as Tessian and Isaac head towards Well-Read, the library, and as the rest of the party heads towards Grand Reserva to see what they can find out about the nefarious dealings of last night, we'll take a break there. In the next part, we'll resolve those issues and then see if the party is able to head to the capital of Lycidian. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.